International observers making lots of recommendations following our general election. One of them is having more women involved in politics. The country's leader addressed this issue. Janelle Noel Ferguson has that story.
Women have found it difficult, increasingly so, to aspiring to come into public life because of the vicious culture.
Yet Bahamian women like Janet Boswick, Italia Johnson, Cynthia Mother Pratt, Loretta Butler Turner, Glenys Hannah Martin, Melanie Griffin, and Hope Strawn have all in recent times braved the political landscape, which could become a ruthless arena. And with the pool of women in politics now increasing, international observers have recommended that the Bahamas put a formula in place where government and opposition are represented by a minimum amount of women. Prime Minister Perry Christie agrees, but notes that history shows that most women, for some time, have kept their distance.
As mothers and wives, lots of discomfort if they become the subject of political attack. And that is why one of the recommendations is, and I thought it was intriguing to me from the observers, is that we ought to endeavor to have a code of conduct signed off by on all of the political parties as to how we would conduct ourselves in general elections so as to avoid the extremes that takes place in politics.
And those attacks come in many forms and could affect family members, various organizations, or associates. Yet some may say this is the price of entering public life. But Mr. Christie says we need to put a guard on all of this, as the international observers have recommended that political parties now sign off on a code of ethics.
I don't know if that exists anywhere, but it would be instructive for us to look at it. So the point I want to make is this. We've had international observers in. They have made specific recommendations that on the face of it can be addressed by us. And we're going to have to rely on the workings and the maturity of the political establishment to be able to work together to make this happen.
The Prime Minister also called on the leaders of government and opposition business in the House of Assembly to examine the recommendations and act on them as soon as possible.
Dr. Nodish, you and Mr. Grant, Nico Grant, or those of us who wear our party hats, including the DNA, must be able to put these recommendations on a table and cause our respective parties to examine them with a view of informing the country sooner rather than later of our positions on those recommendations that are now on the table in Parliament and in the country, with a view to our being able to move the country forward.
Janelle Noel Ferguson, ZNS News.